Hi, I'm Sean Callagy, and welcome to Why Not Talk. If you're watching our Why Not Huddles every morning, we've talked about the fact that we're going to have some extended versions of our Why Not videos, and we have one today. And the goal of this is to talk about business development concepts, life success concepts, and I have my friend Mike Just. Hey, Mike. Come on
What's up, Sean?
What's up, man?
Good to see you.
Who's going to be on for today?
Thank you.
So here we go. So this is our first Why Not Talk, Why Not Talk number 1. So welcome aboard, Mike, and thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, bud.
All right, man. So listen, you were watching some of the Why Not Huddles, right? And you reached out. I'll talk a little bit more about our relationship in a second. And so what was it that made you want to come on, or what's going on for you?
Listen, I mean, I've known you for a few years now, and I just think that the way you go about things, the selfless acts that you do, like the why not stuff, I mean, I think it's a huge help to people. I think they can learn a lot from it. I've learned a lot from it, from just your guidance and mentorship, and I think they're valuable lessons. So I just reached out to you and said, listen, I'd love to be a part of this, so I'm in.
All right. I appreciate it very, very much. And so you also said some kind things, we talked a little about it, about your perspective on what we're up to and are getting to know each other. So, what's that all about?
I think it's important for people to be around other positive people. I think it's a huge testament to what you've done. I mean, listen, you went to Columbia, you played baseball there, you're captain there. All that stuff is great and all, but you know what I noticed though? You walk into this office and what do you see? You see pictures of LBI sunsets. You see pictures of Vince Lombardi and quotes, and I'm not seeing a whole wall of all your accolades. I mean, you could fill the wall up with them, but this is you. Yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing. I think, how you portray, I think, in the way you go about stuff, I think as far as your mentorship is huge on how, like, for example, Vince Lombardi, he was coach of what was the program he was in Notre Dame?
Green Bay Packers.
Green Bay Packers. And, I mean, for what he's done in his career, I mean, I think just exemplifies everything that you've done as well. I think it's awesome.
I appreciate it, Mike. And I've gotten to know Mike. We'll talk about this. Mike is actually my son's personal hitting coach. Mm-hmm. And one of the challenges to me when you look out there in the industry, in any business, but certainly somebody who's going to be interacting with my son, you want somebody who has the right values, the right things to teach. Because all of this stuff, and we'll talk more about this, that when I say stuff, right, whether it's our work or it's our training, especially for our children, is all about really using it as a platform for development. So, hey, it'd be wonderful, and you're in an industry, what Mike does is Mike owns Just Hits. And Just Hits is a baseball school, and it teaches pitching, hitting, and that's really important. But Mike and I talk about this a lot. What is all that really about? Why, I'm somebody who has achieved some level of, hopefully, results in my life and success. So what do I want for my son? Do I want him to win baseball games so I can, hold the trophies and go, look at my son, what an awesome baseball player he is? No, I don't. And what I want is somebody to use baseball as a platform for developing my son's life, as a person. And that's why I love going to Mike, because a lot of the folks in the industry are, they know some baseball. There's people that understand the game. Mike knows it at, I think, at a uniquely high, amazing level, which we'll talk about. But in addition to that, and this is something that I bust Mike's chops about a little bit, is I think Mike was a professional baseball player, and I'm going to ask Mike about his background in a second. But I think much, much less important the fact that Mike was a professional player, has achieved amazing success in the game of baseball at the high school, college, and professional level, including winning an MVP in an All-Star game, which I think, is that correct?
That's correct,
Game-winning hit off Armando Benitez, who was our beloved Mets closer at some point, to win an All-Star game, right?
True.
I don't forget things too quickly.
Very good.
That's great, right? But much more is all the things that Mike believes in about life, and I think that's far more important. And we're going to talk about that. So, Mike, tell me about you. What's up?
Just Hits is something that I started 2009. I mean, I've always had a vision for wanting to do something different. I grew up in the area. Other facilities were around. They were prevalent. I didn't notice the real personal connection there.
Now, you went to St. Joe's Montville,
I went to St. Joe's Montville.
Which was the #1 ranked high school program in America, and one of the seasons recently,
Absolutely,
right? Had
absolutely.
Kaminsky, who was the #1 first-round draft.
Right? Yes.
So it was an incredibly competitive, phenomenally successful high school program. Yes?
Correct.
Okay, and that's your high school program.
That's my high school
And you
program.
had an outstanding career there.
Correct, yeah. I hit .523, and I had 6 home runs. I was all-state there as well, and it allowed me to propel a career into Liberty University, Division I program in college. And from there, I received a hit record, fielding record, and from there, I played pro ball for 4 years. One was with the Houston Astros, and 4 other seasons in independent pro ball. But all that's well and good.
And we also have the connection that I was, as I say sometimes, captain of the Columbia baseball team.
Correct, right.
And I have a hereditary eye problem that kept me from getting drafted.
That's exactly right.
My retinitis pigmentosa condition.
Right.
But I will tell you this in a heartbeat. Very few people I've ever had work with my son on hitting have I ever felt like they know more than me. I've really only worked with people because it's an outside voice to help my son. With Mike, I defer to Mike because Mike knows more than me. And I'm somebody who was in the top 10 hitters Division I in the country my junior year,
right. 3/4
of the way through the season. I still have the little USA Today clipping. So I love hitting. I know hitting.
Right.
Mike knows more hitting than me. So
well, I appreciate that. It's not all me. I mean, look, Butch Hobson was my manager. Brooks Robinson was an influence. Maury Wills helped me a ton in my career. I mean, these are names. I mean, Andy Etchebarren, right? It caught Sandy Koufax. I mean, these are guys that just really helped me out as far as my career goes in understanding the intricacies. I would pick their brains a lot. I mean, after games, maybe we'd go out or hang out. That stuff helped. If you're around these guys and they have the experience, and Butch and Maury managed big league organizations, I mean, come on. You're being taught by the best. They're right here. I'm playing for these guys. I mean, how can I not ask them? So I just chose to really pick their brains and learn as much as I could about not only the swing, but also, character and how to carry yourself. And
so let's take a quick pause.
Yeah.
Who should be watching this right now? In case you're like, where are we going with this? Here's where we're going. The people who should be watching are people who have children,
Correct.
Right, interested in developing them in sports in any way.
Correct.
And any human being who wants to produce a result in their life, which is basically anybody who watches Why Not, because what Mike and I are going to talk about is certainly using the platform of his business, his life, for
Right.
producing results. And Mike is successful and has done things that have been very, very challenging to do. We're going to talk about how to take some of that to another level.
Right.
What are the things that he's doing right? What are the things that we believe in our one success system? And we're going to lay out those principles, which I haven't done yet on Why Not. So we have a lot to accomplish.
Absolutely.
We're going to have some fun. This video in total is probably going to last somewhere between 30 and 60 minutes. People have been asking me, hey, I want more. I had a conversation with someone this morning who said, you keep talking about the fact that you're going to get this going and give us more. I watched the 5-minute videos. Here it is. So watch. So go ahead,
Right.
Mike. So how about I take you to this?
Absolutely.
Right? You decide at some point in time that you want to be a business owner.
Correct.
Right now, your baseball career is done, right? And you had this amazing moment, which you described to me, where you kind of put it, you thought, in God's hands and said, hey,
that's exactly right.
You got the game-winning hit off of Benitez, and that was in the independent league all-star game.
Correct.
Am I right?
Yep.
And you said, hey, I'm either going to go forward and I'm going to have something great happen. You were leading that league in hitting at the time. Is that right? Or close to it? Or
No. I basically, just to be
go ahead.
in independent ball, and to have the Atlantic League is the best league in the world as far as independent baseball goes.
Okay.
So for me to get in the all-star game was very rare.
Because that's a lot of former major league guys.
Former
right?
major league guys who their careers may still be going on. Maybe they're there in the meantime, then they get sent back. There's a lot of that going on. So for me to even get an All-Star game and then get the MVP of the All-Star game, it's never happened.
And you were
in
right,
the Atlantic League.
right? You weren't even on the ballot.
I wasn't even on the ballot.
Okay,
Correct.
right.
I wasn't on the ballot. So I was left off the ballot, and it was like, oh, well, you know what, Mike, this league is not really catered towards, it's more big leagues. And I understand that.
Because that league, listen, just so you understand, so that league is promoting former major league players.
Correct.
That's what's selling tickets.
Right.
The fact that you could see Armando Benitez pitch in the All-Star game.
Correct.
Right? That's what's selling tickets. Not Mike Just, who had not been a major league player at that point.
No one
had been in
knows.
professional ball.
Right.
Nobody knows your name.
Correct.
And yet, you did so well that you end up as right into the All-Star game.
Right.
And I'll take the story through real quickly. You get the game-winning hit off of Benitez, right? And you basically sit back and say, I'm either going to get now, advance my career and get a call from the major league team.
Right.
Or I'm going to go in a different direction. Fair statement?
Fair statement.
And somehow it doesn't happen, so now you're where you're supposed to be. And what do
Correct.
you decide to do from that point forward?
I just said, you know what, if I'm going to do this with the baseball and softball lessons, it needs to be done right. And not right in the sense of, how much money can I make? That can't be the priority.
And by the way, nothing wrong with making money.
Correct.
Change your value for what you do. So
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. So if your focus is right and your intentions are good and you have a set plan, that will come along with it.
Because I'm sure everybody watching this video would like to, many of the people watching this video would like to make more money
Absolutely.
in less time with a greater level of fulfillment,
Correct.
which is what I believe that everybody wants. Either more money, more time, or greater fulfillment,
Right.
which includes, by the way, more passion, more legacy,
That's the
more
thing.
love, more joy.
Prioritizing.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and understanding that. I mean, I
Right.
think that's so huge. So I just said, I need to do this right for this to be successful. That's it. So I'm looking at the industry and what it entails. I see these kids, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be known as a guy who's just a great instructor. That's not a legacy. That's not enough.
I'll tell you, when I met you, you were telling me about what a great instructor you were. That was your identity that you were conveying to me.
True.
And we're going to talk about today why that identity is okay, and it's true.
Right.
But there's so much more that people really want. But go ahead. So I'm going to come back to that, but you keep going.
So, I mean, I think I've come to the realization that it's so important for these kids to be able to go all in for them and be able to be there on 3 different levels. You know, the FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, they compose a term of 3D coaching, which is first dimensional of mechanics, which is like 90% of coaches and what they do.
And when I met you, right, this is going back a couple of years now.
Correct.
And the results with my son have been absolutely phenomenal. And I'm so grateful to you, Mike, for that.
Thank you.
And I don't say that lightly. Like, we're going to do a lot of these talks. I'm not going to falsely promote anyone. I'm telling you, Mike has a profound impact on my son in all 3 dimensions he's about to talk about. But the first time I met you, you were telling about mechanics, which I was interested in, very interested in.
Right.
But I didn't know how much more, and even more important than mechanics, things that you could bring to the table. So,
correct.
3D, mechanics 1.
So, mechanics 1. 2, psychology. I mean, in order to have this kid understand what the mechanics are, and just mechanics alone aren't enough. I mean, you have to explain what they're doing wrong, why they're doing it wrong, how to fix stuff. It's very easy to say, oh yeah, good job, oh just do this, because I said so. There's no weight in that. You know, someone else can come along and say the same thing.
I don't want to underplay the mechanics, because your distinctions on mechanics have been invaluable. And yes, there's a humongous difference between how you teach mechanics and other things that I've seen. And I'm not saying there's nobody else out there who knows mechanics, but your level of mechanical instruction far beyond anything I've seen. And I've been a lot of places with my son.
Thank you. I think when you incorporate math and physics into the mechanics, there are factual evidence to back up what you teach, as opposed to just saying, this is what I'm teaching, why do you teach this? Well, because the other coach taught me. There has to be more validity than that.
And I'm going to tell you this, pause, completely for like non-baseball people, for people who are listening for business purposes. I am telling you, I had a conversation with one of the attorneys that work with me, Matt Major. Matt had an amazing accomplishment this year, won a 3rd Circuit appeal, which is the level just below the Supreme Court, as a young attorney, which is just virtually unheard of, achieving that. Wow. And Matt and I were talking about the fact that most people don't, in their profession, work on developing their skills. So I'm going to challenge Mike today a little bit in some of our conversation for how much he's working on his skill development as a business owner. He's a great business owner, but we all have room for growth in our skill development, just like he talks mechanics in baseball. But go ahead. So mechanics leads to psychology.
Mechanics, psychology. Psychology, definitely the 2nd tier. I mean, you have to be able to get into the player's mind. You have to be able to let him understand and truly believe, set goals. That's part of that 2nd tier. So if you're just an instructor who's giving mechanics, okay, great. But if you're not having him have vision, which is be able to bridge from one side to the other, right? That's going to allow him to then take his game to a whole new level. So the psychology is definitely number 2. Number 3 is the heart. You have to reach the kid's heart. So how does that happen? Well, you have to pour everything out there. You have to be able to be 24/7 accessible if that's the case. If this kid reaches out to me, I mean, listen, I've had situations where I've had a kid at midnight say, I'm very uncomfortable right now, I'm at a party, there's a lot of drinking going on, what do I do? I mean, if I don't pour myself out there to allow the kid to be accessible like that, he doesn't reach out to me. What does he do? Does he succumb to peer pressure? Is he going to call his parents? He's going to be awkward. He's not going to do that. That's the reality. Right. So as a leader and a mentor, I need to be there for this kid in all aspects. If he does something with drinking, he gets in trouble with the law, what are we doing this baseball thing for? It's a moot point, right? So there's so many other avenues and aspects, I think. So all 3 dimensions, if you want to do this right, you have to put yourself out there. In doing so, it's also going to be to where your time is going to be limited. I mean, you get kids reaching out to you and saying, hey, I got this, I got that. You have to limit and know what's very pertinent and needs to be dealt with now, what is not. And to be able to do that to that level is really what allows you to have that personal bond, and then they say, it's more than just a lesson.
Yeah, and I've seen that with my son. My son had some challenging experiences in club baseball, and there's a lot of things out there that I don't believe in, quite frankly. Right. There's, the mechanics are one part of it, but it's the psychology, the heart, as you talk about, and who you are developing, these young men to be through that heart and psychology.
Exactly.
And so, when we met you, we were at a place of just having come out of some, really unique situations. and having connected with you and going forward this way, like, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, because I was finally able to have someone that I believe was going to be teaching and sharing and mentoring my son in a way that I would want to mentor him, right? And I'm a dad, and I know all these principles, but it's amazingly important to have other people around you in the circle who believe the same things that you believe. And so, if I'm going to give you an endorsement, which is a not what we're here for, but it's nice to have, right? I would say that that's a key piece, that you can understand when you're going to Just Hits, that you're going to have an endorsement for the beliefs that you have with your child.
Right, absolutely.
This is what you're going to have as you go forward.
Yes.
So that has been something enormously important to me. And something, though, this is the challenge. Something that I think a lot of, because this affects what I do at some level. It's how do you really have people understand that that's real? It's one thing to say, I'm a great mentor. I could teach you, for me. I could teach you to make more money. I could teach you to do it in less time. All these things. But it's very intangible. Like it feels, it's not. It feels intangible. So one of the reasons that we're having a conversation like this is so people can get to know you and can get to know me and understand that this is real. Like this is who we are. And quite frankly, you and I also discussed something else interesting. When you're when you're living life in sort of trying to live your life in an uncommon way and see things from a different perspective and avoid. I don't even want to say be positive as much as I want to say when you're not negative and cynical. Because I think positivity is something that I believe in enormously, but I also think there's an incredible mischaracterization of it, right? Where people think being positive is being fake. Like you can't really feel that way. Like when you have a negative thing happen to you, you're not really like, oh, I love dandelions and unicorns. And that's not what we're saying. Not what we're saying at all. But in experiencing some of this conversation, people see it for real. Because at the same time, I've experienced this my entire career. I've been in the law for 20 years. And there's a lot of people who've been jealous, who've been angry, who've tried to, create a counterposition to what I believe in. Say that he really doesn't believe in that. And I'm far from saying I'm a perfect human being. I've made plenty of mistakes in my life, right? But I believe in these things, right? And we're driving forward. And I think you and I have talked about it. You've experienced some of that same thing, where people have been attempted to paint you as somebody who is not real, who is more, selfish and that sort of thing. So is that something you've experienced?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, when I expanded Just Hits to Westwood, it's 11,400 square foot facility. It's huge, and someone came up to me and said, hey, he goes, you stole my idea. I'm like, what do you mean I stole your idea? He's like, well, this was exactly what I wanted to do, and you did it. So, okay, so rewind, hold on a second. So you, who, keep in mind, who never played professional baseball, who I don't think played college baseball, has an idea to then have a professional baseball facility with all professional instructors where you could relocate from all different parts of the country to be a part of the operation, to have that model to make it happen. If you don't have those accolades and you don't have those contacts, it's not a realistic thing. But having the idea and the thought is one thing. But here's a better approach, okay? Walking in and saying, you know what, Mike? I love this idea. I had it myself. I thought about it. This is great. But you know what? You made it that far, you had the chance to do it, and you did it. Awesome. Good for you, man. I'm so proud of you. Any way I can help, please let me know. Wow. Hey, now I'm thinking as a business owner, oh, wow, this guy, similar mind. He's dropping a line saying, maybe I could use his help. What is his resume? What is his expertise? Instead of kind of calling me out and having that negative approach and then keeping that inside as if I actually did something to him. That's not the outlook. That's not the approach.
And listen, here's the deal. We talked about it on Why Not. One of the core key first principles that we're espousing is the concept of living at cause versus at effect. Where you're in control of your thoughts, feelings, and actions, which produce your results and destiny as opposed to other people. So the first thing we're going to say is, unquestionably, if you start producing positive results in a new business that you have as an athlete, a player, and you start to excel, you will have people that will want you not to be excelling because you're going to touch their egos.
Comes with territory,
right?
Absolutely.
And let me share this as a principle for these Why Not talks. I fundamentally believe that anybody can produce outstanding and amazing results, and the fact that people do is something that I don't envy. I want to emulate. I want to learn. You ready for this? True story.
Yes.
Today. Right, today. So to put my money where my mouth is. I signed up for a course, and Taylor, my executive assistant's behind the camera. Taylor, is this true or not? Say yes or no when I'm done. Did I not pay $10,000 today for a 3-day course?
True.
True. And was that a required course in the law?
Not at all.
Right. So $10,000 today, no
Okay.
joke, for December, I think it's 8th, 9th, and 10th, or whatever the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Right.
9th, 10th, and 11th.
9th, 10th, and 11th, $10,000 plus having to fly to Chicago to take the 3-day course. What is it in? It's how to accelerate my reach in connecting with people in this industry, in this world, and what we're doing right now. Right? $10,000 course. So I believe in development, and I'm not looking at those guys going, oh, wow, they're... And by the way, people I'm taking the course from have people on the internet who don't like them too. Right? And they're like, oh, well, they're rip-off artists, and that's too much money. You know what? I'll get ripped off my $10,000. I'll turn that $10,000 into $5 million.
Right.
That's what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Because I know the other principles for success.
Correct.
So all of that said, right, living at cause and that effect, tell me about where you are in your business, and like not in a limiting way, and where you want to go. Because this is the part that's going to be incredibly relevant for my viewers, right? You have your viewers that hopefully will understand that they're crazy if they don't come check out Just Hits, and we'll talk about that at the end and how they can. And for my viewers, I want to talk about you as a business owner.
Okay, fair enough.
Where are you and where you want to go, and let's see if we can, make some pieces fit together a little bit differently.
Okay.
And this is a successful businessman, right? This is a guy that makes money, earns a living, has done very well for himself. And I'm going to show you right now that everyone has enormous areas for growth, not small, and that includes me. And we'll talk about that. So go ahead.
Thank you. Well, I mean, I think the best thing would be to continue to focus on the players and their development. That has to be a priority. And listen, if there's a way to do that and make money, I really feel that one avenue is I could take 3 lanes myself, have 3 players in there, and maximize profits. I can make 3 times the profit with 3 kids at once. But what sacrifice when I do that?
Right.
It's the personal connection.
Right, but tell me, look, I appreciate that. And we're going to assume for right now
that
you're a terrific person, that you care about the players that you, and I'm in complete agreement, I've experienced it. I want to know your dreams for Just Hits. Not what you think is possible.
Right.
What is your biggest game dream?
Biggest game dream is to reach as many kids as possible and change their lives for better. Bottom line.
Right.
And I'm only one person. So I can't do it by myself, I need like-minded staff to be able to come in and say, I buy into this. I understand this. I get this.
So how many people would you want to have working in the Just Hits organization with you to reach that many kids? Dream. Like what's and let's cut it down to
realistic.
Let's say a 3-year aggressive goal. Now we'll go from the dream pictures to touch everyone. I mean, you would like to have Just Hits everywhere in the country, right? Like that would be a potential dream.
If I think the only thing holding me back from that is a little bit of fear. To be honest with you, I mean, I know that would cost a lot of time away from my family too, and so I would love for that.
That's not your dream. So tell me your exact dream. How many people are working for you that you could touch, feel, taste, and smell? And we're having a mini coaching session right now. That's what we're doing.
I think somewhere around 6 quality staff that really just all buys into the same common core, I think would be awesome. And if we took that and we're able to have guys in that staff that we're able to go above and beyond, then we can talk about franchise opportunities to where I wouldn't have to worry so much as time if this guy's willing to take on that and be able to build that to the next level and do that. But I need guys that are really, really willing to be committed and buy in. Not just say, like the idea, that was my idea, you stole my idea. No. Okay, I buy in, this is the idea. Here's what I need to do to make it happen. I need to do. The doing is it. Right. Everybody has ideas. Inventions happen all the time. I have that idea. They did it. They took it to the next level. They went there. They did the work. They did the patent.
So what are your challenges in achieving that outcome specifically? Your biggest
staff. Finding the staff that buys in, that is going to do the 3-dimensional levels.
Okay, so one would be to find the right staff to believe in what you believe. So that's one big goal that you have to make that system work.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Second, how about from meeting new people to be potential clients of Just Hits? Is that something that you would like to do better at also?
Yeah, I think outreach could be huge. I think, maybe more advertising, marketing, however I want to go about
Some
that.
way. So one goal is you want more people coming through the door.
Correct.
And you want to have and you have staff already that exists, but you don't have as many of the people in the category that you want to have right now, correct?
Correct.
All right, awesome. So those are the 2 challenges. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about this now. And this is the key for those folks that want more from Why Not. Like, here you go. Ready? First, like, results are produced in life, right, because of one success system. And I have spent 2 decades studying the idea of, hey, you know what? I got a book for you. Hey, I got a book. You want more marketing? I got a book. You want more sales? I got a book. You want more of this? I got a book, right? And there's walls of books. So the challenge for people who want to grow their business like you do, or who want to achieve any result in their life, is there's an entire millions of books on the internet, right? Google self-help, and I think you get like 10 billion hits. It's something completely insane. So how do you distill all of this information into a program that works to produce exactly what your dream is? 6 people who believe in what you believe, people that are flowing through the doors that believe in what you believe also, right? Because you want the clients to believe what you believe. Right. So you don't want dads coming in, screaming at their kids, smacking them in the head, saying, you stink and you're horrible and, work harder, I'm going to throw you out that door. Right?
Absolutely.
Which, by the way, you've had in your facility and had to ask people to leave.
I have had crazy experiences.
Okay. So you want that.
Yes.
So all results are produced by 3 things. 1, what is your process? What is your process? 2, by having the skill set in communication to execute on your process. So 1 is your process, 2nd is the communication skill, and 3rd is what we're going to call living at cause, subset of being in self-management. Let me explain all those in 2 minutes, which, by the way, I can talk for 100 hours on these principles. I'm going to go really fast. Process modeling says this. If I want my son to hit better, I need to go to somebody who hit great and learn from them. You did. Hit 530 in high school, leading hitter in college, professional player, right?
Correct.
So then they have the right background and criteria.
And that's what people want.
Right?
Correct.
Okay, 1. 2, I need to then not only listen to like what they say about mechanical hitting, but follow all of the other process modeling, lifting weights, speed training, agility training. I need to do all of those things. Let's say if I want my son, and he wants to, right? More importantly, what he wants to do, he's 16 years old now.
Correct.
That he wants to go play at Ivy League University, right? And he wants to do that. That's his dream.
Right.
So he's got to process model what you did. That's what he needs to do first.
That's right.
2nd, he needs to go out and understand how to get himself to do it by living at cause, right? Like that's what we talk about at cause. How do you, like, you're going to get up and go, I don't want to lift today.
Right.
It's raining out. Like, my arm is sore.
Right.
I don't want to do these things. How
Correct.
do you get yourself to do them? And from a communication level, that skill set is less important. A kid who wants to play in college baseball, but for Mike Just, that's enormously important.
Huge.
That you're able to communicate your vision to potential people that are your clients, that you're able to communicate who you are and what your vision is to potential people to come in and work with you,
True.
that you're able to manage and lead them while they're there. So that communication skill set is essential. That's where I come in, and that's what I do, right? I have all of these things down cold, which would take an incredible amount of time, impossible to find them all. I've synthesized and distilled all of these things from all the books I've read and put into practice so that I built a 100-person law firm. I built a law firm in my late 20s where I had 40 people working for me, which became a multi-million-dollar firm.
Right.
I was the most successful graduate of my coaching school for coaching people in business that, in 3 months I was making $40,000 a month for my coaching school. Not because it's like, hey, look at me.
Right.
It's because I learned how to do things just like Butch Hobson or whoever else taught you how to hit.
Correct.
Right, and be a pro ball player. Just like whoever taught you in high school to hit, taught you, your dad or whomever else that had those skill sets, right? That's what we're doing here. So let's apply it to you. So watch this. You've worked incredibly hard in your business, is that correct?
Yes, definitely.
Right? And you're like really into having the business that
Sleepless
you have.
nights. I mean, I put a lot in. Absolutely.
Right, absolutely. And you work a lot of hours training young men on how to be, and young women and girls and boys, how to be baseball players and softball players, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. So how much time per week, though, to achieve the dreams and vision that you have, do you spend working on your business in total, do you think? Outside of giving lessons, which is the value to the customer. In terms of the value to you in achieving your dreams, how many hours a week are you working specifically on achieving your dreams?
It's very hard to do as owner-operator.
Right,
so
just
very
give me a
minimal.
number.
I mean,
Right, stop. And don't feel bad.
Yeah.
Because every person I've ever coached
Right.
and talked to, and I've done hundreds and hundreds
Right.
of first sessions with people. And we're
Right.
having fun and making this a first session
Oh,
on
yeah,
camera, right?
definitely. Yeah.
Everybody I talk to, it's the same thing.
Same thing.
It's like I'm working hard, I'm trying, I'm killing myself, whatever. How much time are you actually doing this? It's like a ball player coming to you, a baseball player coming and going, Coach, I got to get stronger. And you go, well, what are you doing? Oh, I'm taking lessons. I care. Are you lifting weights? Well, no, but I'm really busy.
True.
Well, are you lifting weights? No. Well, you're not going to get stronger.
Right.
And so if you're not doing these pieces, and I'm going to tell you what they are very specifically in 2 minutes, and you can apply this to your own life and your own business first, right? So let's go.
Okay.
So you talked about the process of having the right people who believe what you believe come into your world.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, today, you have great people that you grew up with, that you played with in college, let's do it that way.
Correct.
They've connected through that world.
Absolutely.
That you believe in who they are and what they believe in,
Yes.
right? You have some of those folks in your
That's
world.
correct.
What are you doing today specifically to bring in more of those people to get you to having the 6 additional ones that you want today? Exactly what are you doing? If the answer is nothing, be
Nothing.
honest.
I mean, nothing.
That's it. Stop. So here you have a awesome dude,
Right.
who's worked his butt off to build a successful business.
Fair enough. Right.
And the reason he doesn't have that is because he has no process
For it.
to have that.
True.
Now, what I'll challenge Mike and say, he's like, I have no time, right? I'm going to tell you, if you took it from 0 to 2 hours a week, and I'll tell you what to do in 2 hours a week.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you what to do. I'll give you some ideas, right?
Okay.
In those 2 hours per week, in a year, you have what you want. Maybe 6 months, maybe 3 months. But you're light years from where you are right now. Because all I'm asking you to do is invest 100 hours, right? That's 50 weeks of 2 hours a week. Versus in a year, have invested 0 hours. This is what I do every single time I coach people. And in the beginning when I was coaching people, I wasn't as certain and sure.
Right.
Every person who comes into me, it's so simple in my formula.
Right.
First of all, there's no process modeling. So right now, there's people who recruit amazing people in every industry in the world. You're not process modeling any of that recruiting. You're not,
No.
right? So the way to find those people is to
Right.
process model what do fantastic people who recruit do
Correct.
to find those people. So let me give you a couple of ideas, right?
Okay.
Number one, I think, lovingly I say this, that you are looking for credentials and criteria that are even more than what you need. I'm saying it lovingly.
I agree.
You got great people.
I agree.
Great people. Mike doesn't need as great of people as he has already, right? He needs people who have the same value structure you have.
Correct.
But I'm going to challenge you and say, you do not need former professional players. Now, I'm right now killing Mike because his entire brand has substantially been built on the fact he's got pro players. And I've been challenging that concept with him because I think Mike is so good that he could teach other people to replicate his mechanical teaching well enough to coach 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old children to become really good hitters, and even high school hitters to be college hitters, if he teaches them and trains them first. Second, I think there's got to be a model for looking for young kids with great values coming out of college who are college baseball players.
Correct.
Who are not sure of what they want to do, where they're going to come want to be with you
Right.
to have you serve as a mentor for them in life for a period of time.
Absolutely.
Then potentially after a period of time, they can want to do something else in their life.
Right.
And every few years, you're bringing in new people for you to mentor, that end up working through Just Hits, learning about life success principles, and working with you. But they learn mechanics, and they believe what you believe. Like, for example, they believe in the fact that the kids that are trusted to them are amazingly important. Their hearts, their minds, their souls, their values are going to be shaped in the 45-minute lesson they're coming in to learn about hitting. Hey, how's school going? How's all the things you do with my son?
Exactly.
Right? You talk to my son about it. You talk to him about music. You connect with him.
Correct.
You build rapport.
Correct.
Right? And then so they're open.
Yes.
It's not like you're like, hey
Yeah.
Ty,
Right.
are your values good? No, you create
Right.
a relationship with him. You can teach other people who value that. If it's a guy who comes in and goes, yeah, as a former player, spit and chew on the ground. I dig chicks. I want to go hook up with girls in bars. And,
Right.
and I know baseball though, dude. I'll teach your kid to hit. And
Unfortunately,
look at that hot chick over
majority of the industry, but yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely the majority of the industry. And
Right.
get those people away.
Right.
So you don't need. I don't believe you need a former pro player. You certainly don't need that.
Right.
You need guys, I think, that were college players who believe in the same things that you believe in. You can teach the nuances and distinction of being a pro, right, to them,
Right.
modeling. So to do that, here's what you got to do, right? You've got to contact colleges,
Right.
and you've got to get the feelers out there that say, hey, are there any players that you have that want to go into this industry and communicate with them? Process modeling. And make connections with the coaches that are local in the area and build relationships with them and say what I'm offering them is not just a job, it's a mentoring and principles of life success. And that's what I'm offering people. And so that dovetails into the second piece. It's not just a process modeling of going, okay, make the phone call.
Right.
The second element of my success formula, right, is that you've got to be able to effectively convey your unique identity.
Correct.
In that communication
Communication.
element where they're like, yes, I get it. It's not some, as opposed to saying, hey, it's some dude who's calling up, cold calling, looking for like players he can stick in there and give some lessons to some kids.
Right. No.
You're looking to have and I have a 4-step communication process in this. And step 3 is convey your unique identity. If you follow that 4-step communication process, Mike, you will be able to communicate with these college coaches and they'll go, wow, I've never talked to anybody in the industry like that dude.
Who actually cares to that level, dude.
Right.
Right.
And I get it. I want to connect my players with him. Right? And so that's what you want second. And third, you've got to be able to, in the communication model, another element of the communication model that you have to adhere to, is you have to gain and maintain buy-in with these young men.
Yes.
That it's very real, that that's your agenda, that's your goal, and that's what you want for them.
Yes.
Right? And that there's an end game. And they may understand, maybe they can never achieve their life goals financially and successfully, fully, that everyone can't make that money for just hits. Maybe they can.
Right.
But if they do the things you say, they will make a very good living and have transferable skills, or they'll be able to go on and open up another Just Hits franchise. That there's a model that I don't think exists yet fully, right? For hello, I'm working at Just Hits, to in 3 years I'm here. At the end of 3 years, I'm either on to my life's career, or I'm growing at Just Hits because I do these things. What are those things? They're developed. Go ahead. Let's see. Comment for
Well, I was going to say, can you train these players on communication skills? Because my biggest fear with all that makes total sense.
By having them listen to Why Not videos and listen to this, because I'm going to be doing it for free. Right? This is where you come to.
Right.
That's where I can come in. Then you have pieces of the puzzle in the equation, and that's why you should have your staff watching Why Not videos. Right. If people work for you in a sales context, you're crazy. Aflac. Here's the deal. I got Ray Rastami from Aflac, who set records, broke everything. He's the New Jersey State training coordinator for Aflac. They use my stuff. He's got all of his people. He's telling them, you have to watch these videos. He credits us with dramatic increases in the number of meetings that Aflac is having by simply following part of my results system. They haven't purchased the whole thing. They're not involved. And by the way, I'm not even selling it yet. There's nothing to buy. It's only free on Why Not. I'm going to be selling stuff at some point later on, maybe 2016 down the road. But I'm not selling anything right now. I'm giving massive value away for free. And yes, you can come to, I have a business mastery program. I'm going to have a Why Not night that we're going to start having when people come in for training. So the answer is absolutely unequivocally. That's what you can do. But yes, you can train those people in them. If you don't have the time, then you outsource that training. We can do some of it. But what you will need to do is have regular accountability meetings with them to make sure they're doing it. So now, okay, as we spend our last few minutes wrapping up here, what we're also going to do, that you need to do, is you need to be outreaching to build your business. So for those of you that you have a successful law firm, you have an accounting firm, you're in network marketing, you're selling widgets, you're selling airplanes, you're selling time to lease private jets, you're selling houses, you're selling pens, whatever you're doing out there, I guarantee you there's huge pieces in the equation missing. Just like there were for me. Right? Just like there were for me. That's why I'm doing these Why Not videos. I'm expanding my reach and connecting with more people because I want to build a national law firm. So to build a national law firm, I have to have people be able to get to know me in a way other than me flying all over the country. And this is part of what I'm doing by giving away massive value.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah,
I mean,
please.
you know what's cool? What the people don't see when you walk in here and you meet the staff, everything that Sean says, it's not just talk, he walks the walk. I think that's a valuable thing because that is something that you can't see. When you walk in from the front desk to all the attorneys, he throws a Halloween celebration, throws a Christmas party at the Rockley Country Club, which with Bruce Springsteen's cover band, I mean, who does that? But you do it because you understand the camaraderie. You take your principles from your Columbia baseball program and you apply them into your daily routine, and then it's here. You see it. It's from top to bottom. So everything that you just said, I'm going through my mind that I'm saying, wow, I see that here and here and here and here. And so it's not you're just saying, you're walking the walk. You're proving fact of everything you just said.
I am humbled and flattered, and I thank you for saying
that.
It's
but, true.
And I'll say one other crazy thing. Like I like to believe a little bit differently and say like why not to things. I will say that my children's private time, my daughters are big time soccer players, my son's a big time baseball player. I will say their lesson time is just not more, just as valuable as their schoolwork. People go, "You're what? Are you out of your mind? Are you crazy?" Here's why.
Yeah.
My children And most people's children are not going to get into an Ivy League school based on grades alone, no matter how phenomenal you do.
True.
Because there's kids in every school across the country, tens of thousands of high schools, who have straight A's.
How do you differentiate?
How do you differentiate? And you differentiate, in my opinion, through music, potentially. My kids are into music. Maybe through acting. Maybe through some amazing public service. And I don't know about that. But for me, I think it's through athletics. And I wouldn't have gone to Columbia. I don't think from Emerson, a public high school in Bergen County, I ever get into Columbia with athletics.
Absolutely.
And so with the grades, and which I didn't say more important.
Right.
I said as important.
As important.
Right. So the process is
and the
hugely
mentorship.
important.
You know, can I add
please,
something to that? I mean, because when I think about, and you talked about how important it is to have that mentorship in the life of Tyler, like we talked about, right? When I trained him, look back to someone, Whitney Houston. Look back to her when she says in the song, I think it's "Greatest Love of All," she says, "I never had anyone to fulfill my needs, a lonely place to be, so I learned to depend on me." Those words in my mind are like, wow, and I'm seeing what she dealt with and what she struggled with. She doesn't have a mentor. I mean, she's saying it. She's crying out in her lyrics. I mean, what she's saying and what she means. And it's like, man, it's like, I wish, it's almost like when Elton John says, "I wish I knew Marilyn Monroe," or whatever it is,
Yeah.
It's like the same thing. Like, it's like, man, I wish someone was there on a level and she was able to receive that. Who knows what could have been? And I look at these kids and how we impact. It's such a huge value, and I appreciate that you understand that. And I think for me, that's so important. You've been a big, big asset to my life in your example and how you mentor and how you lead in your advice. I apply that in my friends. I apply that in my clients in my everyday. And I just want you to know I appreciate everything you've done for me, let alone everybody else, and how selfless you are to do these videos.
Mike, I really appreciate it. And so if you look at a person like Whitney Houston, where did her life end up? So she has all of this unbelievable success in the music industry, makes incredible amounts of money. Where did her life end? Tragedy, right?
I know.
Right. And so the whole idea is, because a lot of times people, and I've had a hard time with this in my life, because I can teach people to make a lot more money.
Right.
And sometimes people are like, that guy talks about making a lot more money, and that's not it. You're with me. Where am I at 3 o'clock every day, or 3 days a week?
Yeah, Just Hits.
At Just Hits. So what am I doing at Just Hits?
Sitting there, and we're getting involved in Tyler's lessons.
Right. And what if I have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to do my work and stay up till midnight? I'm not missing that time with my son.
You're not.
Right. And by the way, I do it for my daughters too. And I'm not bragging.
No.
I'm saying that I believe in amazing life balance. And so I've done a lot of things I've done to achieve that life balance, so I don't have a lot of money and then not have fulfillment.
Right.
And I want to be able to do lots of fun, cool things. I don't. Everybody's got the things they want. I don't have a watch on, right? I don't have a watch because I don't need a Rolex watch to say what I do.
You want mine?
Yeah, I got a polo shirt on. Whatever. Like that's fine. Like so, I like that. It makes me feel comfortable. Makes me feel reasonably dressed. I'm not wearing some crazy designer level of clothing. I don't care, right? So I have to. No, you're dressed like a baseball coach, right? So, but my point to all this is not about just making more money.
No.
It's about designing a life. This is what Why Not is all about, and this is why I enjoy talking to Mike so much, because he believes in the same principles. It's about designing your life and having what you want, whatever that is. So if you want to go and live in the jungle and do Peace Corps work that's fantastic. I mean, that's amazing. You can be wildly successful. If you want to go be a teacher, be the best teacher you could possibly be. I believe at the core that everyone wants more. And there's a great quote that's attributed to Socrates. I have no idea if it's falsely attributed. By the way, many quotes are falsely attributed to Socrates. There's a site, I think, online that says, quotes falsely attributed to Socrates. I don't know if it's on it, but one of the ones that I read that was attributed to him was that we cannot live better than in seeking to become still better than we are. And not to get into a spiritual thing, but that ties back for me, into biblical principles that say that the story of the talents. And I believe, I know my greatest life frustration comes when I'm not using my talents. And this Why Not video is a platform to use my talents and to get out there and help other people. I truly, honest to God, want to make the world a better place. Now, I'm not saying I've never upset anybody or hurt anybody's feelings, and I've made a couple of I've never done any criminal and had problems like that, but I made a couple of significant mistakes in my life too that have been the result of not following my own system, quite frankly. And so, my goal with all this is to go out there and make the world a better place and spread this, where people talk about the idea of paying it forward. I believe in that, but pay what forward?
Right, process, system.
Process, system. How do you succeed? How do you find the way and not end up being like, that stuff doesn't work, personal development doesn't work.
Right.
My heart's desire, Mike, is to have people buy into the fact that personal development, which means getting better at everything you do, we're personally developing from the time we're first learning to walk,
Right.
first learning to speak, and
Right.
then people just stop.
We're made that way, right?
People stop.
Right.
They become 25 and they stop learning, stop
Right.
growing, and they're like, well, this is just me. It's just who I am. No, it's not.
Right.
It's the byproduct of all the things that have happened to you, good, bad, and indifferent, and you haven't consciously chosen it.
Right.
So as we wrap, I'm going to say this. Put these processes in because you deserve to have your dreams too. You deserve to have a team of people around you who are seeing and believing in all the things that you have and want. And I'm telling you, the children of Bergen County and the surrounding counties, they need people like you. They need people like you that their parents can come into and say, yeah, I want to go to that guy. And there's a hitting school opening up on every corner.
Every corner.
In every town. Can I tell you something? One last funny
Absolutely,
anecdote?
yeah.
When I didn't know what I wanted to do, right after college, when I couldn't get drafted because of my eye condition, I'm not joking, nobody did hitting lessons. It didn't exist. I made up a flyer to do hitting lessons. So I could have been you before there was you, but guess what happened? I didn't have self-management. I was too scared.
There's always a lane.
Right, but thank God I didn't do it. Thank God I didn't do it because I'm living my life.
Absolutely.
Right? I ended up going to law school, but I'm not kidding. I designed the hitting flyer. I spent hours and hours and hours. And listen to me if you want a business and you want more for your business. I spent 10 hours designing on the computer, little bats going around the thing. I was going to start giving lessons in LBI during the summer. No joke.
I love it.
1992. That's when I was going to do it.
Wow.
Had the whole thing ready to go. You know what I told about it? Nobody. So you've been more successful than me because you believed. And you did it in terms of that business and launching it. Because you did. I was too scared.
Right.
And by the way, I was too scared to watch the Why Not videos too. You know why? I was afraid I would get up and make Taylor. Taylor's getting up every day. At what time do you wake up in the morning, Taylor? Help me out there.
I wake up at 5:30, but I probably don't actually wake up till 5:50, which is the last possible second that I could get out of my bed and still manage to make it to your house on time.
All right. So by the way, and I'm not saying you should watch Howard Stern, but Taylor is like my Robin Quivers now. So she's the person, she's like my audience, like that of always present audience, right? So and Taylor is phenomenal, and I would never be able to do this stuff without her.
Thank you.
So thank you, Taylor. And so Taylor every day is getting up at that hour, and I was afraid to waste Taylor's time,
Right.
to waste my time. So I'm
Right.
like, what if nobody cares? What if nobody spreads the message?
Right.
What if I'm just
Right.
doing this and nobody's
Right.
watching? I'm helping nobody. And you know what I said?
I'll like it.
The heck with that.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
I'm going forward. By the way, we've had
Right.
1,100 people in 8 days or 9 days now
That's crazy.
to our Facebook. So please
Awesome.
spread the word. Watch these Why Not videos. Is there anything, Mike? I think you have an upcoming event that you also want to promote
I do.
at your facility.
I
So
do. Saturday, December 12th, 1 to 4 p.m. We're having a live band, catered food. We're doing just a celebration party for 7 years in business, and we just want people to come out to meet our staff, see what we're all about, use the facility for free, hitting the lanes. I mean, I thought it was a cool idea to kind of get people to get to know us better. That's why I did it. And going back to what you said earlier about just setting that process, I think, again, I have strong faith, biblical principles as well, and everything you do it to the glory of God is a Bible verse that I always try to do, and my focus and my what I'm trying to do with these kids, really is that, and I really want to make sure that that they're living their lives, positive for them to be able to experience things that God wants them to experience, but also for them to be able to have an outreach for their other friends and be good examples for them. So that pay it forward principle, I think, is extremely valuable, and I think that there's so many things that can get thrown under the rug or missed or say, oh, let's just not talk about that. Listen, I mean, you need a strong mentor. I think it's so important, and I appreciate you've been that for me, so I want to thank you for that.
I appreciate it. And we've mentioned biblical principles and God a little bit in this.
Yeah.
It's a really funny thing, and we'll add this in, that I have a hard time sometimes because I don't want people to ever think
Right.
I'm professing and selling on God.
Of course.
And it's a really, really difficult thing
Right.
to do. So, I do have a very strong faith.
Absolutely.
Again, imperfect. I'm not sitting here going,
No.
I'm a perfect, human being.
Good
But I do
communication.
have
That's
a
right.
perfect, I have complete faith. I've had some very tragic things happen in my life and dealt with some challenges, and I am blessed with faith. I've never had my faith waver or shaken. But I'm always afraid to balance this issue. Like, how do you say that? And other people go, oh, you're selling on God.
Right.
Right? And that's like terrible.
Right.
And then on the other hand, you have people going, you go me, and look at what I did, look what I know, and whatever. And then and I attribute my success at the core to my faith into God.
Mm-hmm.
But if I say it, I'm selling on God.
Right.
If I don't say it, then it looks like to people who I care about, I'm close to. It looks like I'm taking all the credit and giving God no credit.
Right.
Now, and I'll tell you what I believe and how I reconcile the two very quickly. I believe this: God gave us free will. God calls for us to believe in in Him, right, and to do other things. But at the same time, He calls us. He gave us that free will to make decisions on how we apply these principles of success
and work ethic
and work ethic. So that's how I balance it, right? I don't go, okay, well, thank you, God, for blessing me and making miracles happen as I lay on the couch. I say thank you for giving me the opportunity to learn all this, to put it into play, to work my tail off, and for opening. Hey, and you know what? Sprinkling those blessings of who you meet and what happens. And it was a blessing to meet you. Well, it really was, because I was looking for that person for my son.
Thank you.
And I believe God brought us together. Now He wouldn't have brought us together if I wasn't looking, right?
Well, that's that same joke, when it's like the guy's drowning in the ocean, and he's like, and he's praying, and the boat comes by, and he's like, and the guy's, I can help you, and he's like, no, I'm praying, God's going to save me. And it's like it's like wait a second, no, right, the connection there. So
because I'll talk to people about principles of personal development, and they'll go, God, and I'll go, yeah, I believe in God too, but what do you do? Well, God's going to take care of it. I don't think so. I think God can take care of everything, anything, of course. You have to do things,
correct,
right? And you have to have a process and a plan.
Correct.
And if you want to put your plans in His hands and pray for discernment and those things, that's important.
Excellent.
But you have to do things to get the message out there.
You have to do
of
things.
What you're doing. And
God created us with a work ethic to do. Right, exactly.
Yeah. So no, I appreciate that. We had no plan of even talking about that, but I would feel remiss without addressing that issue, because it's an area that I'm still getting comfortable with. And I did a radio commercial in the law on Star 99 a while ago. Cool. I had people from the Bar Association, this is a true story, from the Bar Association say to me, well, we don't know if that's appropriate, that you're suggesting that by being a Christian you're a better lawyer. And I was and I was blown away. And I didn't even know how to process that conversation, and say, so the world is very interesting, right, and how we look at some of these things.
Especially
and, it really is, So I appreciate our ability to talk about that. Yeah. And by the way, I simply said, listen, I'm going to tell people I'm a Christian. And if I'm going to, get sanctioned for doing it, I don't care, right? And that's just never going to happen.
Right.
And listen, I understand people have a job to do, so I'm not criticizing.
And that doesn't mean that you judge others, whoever they are, and what they believe. That doesn't mean you stay open with it. It's not like, it's so...
Because I would feel remiss if I didn't, and I'm not telling you, hey, you should come work with me because I'm a Christian.
Right.
I'm not saying that.
No.
I'm simply saying that I think it's incumbent upon me to share that because that's what I'm called to do at some level in the work that I do. So it's not like, Sean Callagy, some guy thinks he's going to be some cult leader and telling people to live, why not, create a cause. No, I'm applying peak performance principles, just like you do in sports, to life and to business. It's not a spiritual decision in my book, right? It's a peak performance, how our brain operates, how our nervous system operates, and my spirituality, my faith is something completely different. So when I say let's create a movement, I mean a movement and peak performance. And that's what I'm looking to say, hey, let's go do it. Anything else you'd like to share, my friend?
No, man, I really appreciate your time and your help. I mean, I think, I definitely have a better understanding of that. When you mentioned the colleges and stuff, I actually did start doing that. So it's funny, I didn't have the process down, but we talked in the past a little bit about a process, and I started with my office manager researching, so I did actually come up with a list of colleges in the area and all that sort of thing. So I started, but I didn't follow through.
Here's what I'm going to say. If it ain't happening, I agree. That's what I hear from everybody.
Right.
There's no process. So if you're designing your website, you're not in business. If you're out there designing your business part, you're not in business. You know when you're in business? When you pick up the phone and you dial the number and you say hello. And I'm going to leave you with that. Communication is not done through email. It is not done through texting. Influencing communication, our 4-step communication process, involves human contact.
Human contact. Right.
If you want to get a yes from a coach to say, you got to pick up the phone. You got to go have lunch. You got to go meet with people. That's what you have to do in the communication process. So we left Mike with some principles. Hopefully you can apply these things to yourself. Because I guarantee you, whatever you want, you can email me, call me, go, I don't know what to do. I don't believe you. I've done everything. You're lying. You're lying. Right? Because you're not doing everything. Right? You're not doing everything. And I will only be the person I want to be. And I'll have my 1 million Facebook likes. I'll have my 1 million people on Twitter. And I'll be a nationally branded law firm and person who is seen as a peak performance coach, results specialist in sales, in marketing, in leadership, getting things done. Only when I follow my own same system. And that's why I've started doing this, and I have a lot more to do. Mike, I thank you. I appreciate it. I will be there on December 12th. I will be coming back for my $10,000 that I'm investing in my training to give to you for free on these Why Not videos, by the way. I'm spending $10,000 more to keeping you for free.
Awesome.
And by the way, I'm going to give away a sick, crazy, awesome free program when I have 50,000 Facebook likes, 50,000 Twitter followers, and we have 2,000 people, that's the number, Sarah, we said
Yep.
2,000? 2,000 people who subscribe to our Why Not YouTube video, I'm going to give away a program, and I mean a program, not a letter, not a 10-minute video, a program on one of the key secret formulas that is going to transform your ability to go out and produce the results you want, that is absolutely blow away, sick crazy, and is the key thing that stops everyone. Get us there, share, like, let's go out and do it. I will be there coming back from that December 12th. I appreciate everything. Give me a hand, brother.
Thank you so much.
All right. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
All right, man. Why not? See you later.